And so I walked back to the stairwell and it was unbearable. Right. And I knew and I realized in that moment that I had two choices, that I could stay in that pit of despair or I could make decisions that would start moving me forward one step at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome to Curveball. This is Heather Campbell, and today I am with the magnificent Katie Jordan. I got to tell you, she experienced 5 years that literally felt like a lifetime of loss crammed into one single chapter. Get this, she lost her grandmother, her father, and her sister, and then her marriage, all within 5 years. You can imagine her world turned completely upside down. She went from having a partner and a support system to co-parenting and trying to figure out how to start over. She said she had two choices: stay in the pit of despair or rise up, rebuild her confidence, and create a life she actually loves. Today, this is so cool. She's a powerhouse coach for divorced women, a co-author of the best-selling book, Start Up, Start Over, Just Start, and the creator of a 90-day blueprint that helps women go from heartbreak to wholeness. She's proof that loss can be the start of something fiercely new, if you build the right tribe around you. Katie, welcome to Curveball. Oh my gosh. So I am just thinking, if I lost my mom, like I was super close. If I lost my mom and my sister within like any sort of like closeness in time, I don't even know what I would do. So like, just tell me about that experience. Like, who died first and then who? And then like, what was the order? Like, I don't want to like trigger you, but I just want to take a step back in time to just get a sense of how intense things were for you.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to get emotional doing this either, but then I was like, oh my gosh, when you
Let
hear
those rivers
somebody
run. Yeah.
else, right? When you hear somebody else talk about your life,
Mm,
right? And you're like, I'm not, you don't just get on the other side of this, right?
right.
So in 2015, was it 2015? Oh my gosh, no, I don't even know. No, 2016, we lost a baby.
Oh gosh.
So it was in the early stages, but it's still so crazy how women don't talk about it till it happens to you. And then you find out, oh my
Right.
gosh, this isn't such a big deal. But it is a big deal
Yes.
because
I
it's
think it's
still a loss.
absolutely a big deal because I just think about the preparation your body starts to make immediately for pregnancy. I'm assuming that's you had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that all the things that your body's preparing for immediately, and then that baby's gone, and then your body still has to
Figure it out.
then go back to normal. Yeah. So it's like I can imagine your mind and emotions being sad and confused, and your body also being like, wait a second.
Yeah.
What?
Totally.
Yeah.
So that happened in 2016. And then in 2017, when I was 7 months pregnant with our little rainbow baby,
Yeah.
my grandmother, who'd had dementia, passed away as well. And this is one of those moments, like when monumental things happen in your life, like you can remember even the things you were wearing. I was big
Yes.
and pregnant, and I remember that. And then you fast forward a year later, my dad had been sick. We thought he was doing really well. And then I got the phone call while I was at work from my oldest sister.
Oh no.
And he just didn't wake up one morning. So in the
Oh my
grand
God.
scheme
And
of
then you're
things,
at like work, like in an
yeah.
office with like shitty lighting and with these people, like acquaintances, but then and then you get this. I can't even imagine. Like, I would have just been, I think, completely stunned. Like, I don't know how I would be. Like, how are you? Like, I can't even imagine like walking out of the office. That must have just been like so surreal for you.
I have had an office in the airport too, no less. So it's not like where we live
What was your job?
At the time, I was an instructor.
Oh, okay. What did you
I
instruct people on?
taught all of the folks who check you in at the ticket counter, the ones who put you on the planes, the one who loads bags. I taught their annual training that they have to go through.
Okay.
So fortunately, I was not in a class that day. That's what happened there. At that point, my daughter wasn't even a year old.
Oh, no. Right.
And then we actually lost my husband's grandmother that same fall. So we just kept going.
Right.
And then we all know what happened in 2020.
Yes.
And my sister had just a year after my dad was gone, my sister was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh, no, that Glasto.
It's like a million miles long term.
Yes.
And it was just like so heart-wrenching, really, is what was happening, because my mom was continuously the caretaker. But she worked full-time through all of this too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So she is my oldest sister. I am the second of 5. And something like that really like shakes you to the core.
Yes.
Somebody close to your own age with her own family. She had the biggest heart. She had 2 biological children with 3 adopted in there as well. Yeah.
You're the 5 kids. Yeah.
No, I only have 1.
Okay. I'm one of 9 kids. So people are always like, oh my gosh, do you want a big family? And I'm like, no, I want children, but I do not want to have a big family.
No, that was just not my.
There was a lot of chaos, going around. That's so interesting. My brother had glioblastoma and died from brain cancer. And what was really interesting is he was not, I would never classify him as a spiritual person, but he told me once before he died, he was like, that he's like, because he was like, I always described him as like the Bruce Springsteen of my family. We had a big family. So there was a lot of chaos, a lot of like fighting, like as kids and teenagers will do. I don't remember ever having an argument with him. Like he moved through our family like Bruce Springsteen. And I always say, like, no one meets Bruce Springsteen and is like, God, what an asshole. Like they're just like, wow, he's like a cool guy. And so that was my brother in this big family. And what was really interesting is he was like, that this was like part of our contract. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, we agreed. He was like, I was going to be the one to get sick because he's like, just because I was in this situation and I could handle it. And I was just like, oh my God, thanks for taking one for the team. Like it was just so interesting because he wasn't like, oh yeah, I read this book called Soul Contracts. And guess what? He literally was like, so the fact that he even said that, it was even more profound.
Yeah. I can.
Oh, honey. Yes. Yes.
Oh, that was super hard because she was going through all of the craziness, the treatments and stuff, but she was
during
still
the pandemic then?
Oh yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to coordinate care.
Yeah. And they live in a small community, so there's a lot of just community support there.
Right.
And so we went through that. And here's the interesting part. I will never forget. I was like, I'm not ever before that really been. I stood up in front of classes and I taught and I did things like that, but I've never like really saw myself as a speaker.
Mm.
But I was like, who's going to do the eulogy?
Mm.
And I was like, I want to do it because I want to have that opportunity to honor her.
Right.
And even my husband at the time, who adored her, he helped me write that.
Mm.
And that was in the midst of just a lot of things for us as well. But
Right.
that was huge. So that happened in 2020. She passed. I will never forget, after giving that eulogy, people coming up to me and saying, "You are so strong. I never could have done that." And like in my head, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Like,
Right.
but to them, I'm still this young 18-year-old person.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
I'm in my 40s now. I'm like, I'm a long ways from that.
Right.
So that really, because she was one of my biggest cheerleaders through every
Mm.
crazy thing I wanted to do in life too. And
Older sisters are the best. They
yeah,
really
I don't
are
know.
because they can talk to you in a way your mom can't, but you'll listen in the same way you'll listen to a mom,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So that was a really crazy
Mm.
time. And then a year later was when the separation came.
Oh my gosh.
And, when things just, you know something is coming, but maybe you're in denial, right? And that's what happens. You're like, "Ooh, maybe not," right? So that came, and we sold our house. We had just built that house together. We had moved back to Colorado when our daughter was very young.
Hmm.
So we'd been in the house a few years. But like you said, now what?
Right. Well, and then the grief too. Like one of the things I remember thinking about when my mom died, like I'm from Ohio originally, and I went out to visit her. My sister was like, I think you should come out. Like, mom's not doing that well. And I went out for Mother's Day and I did not come home until mid July. And she died like in June. And I remember thinking, like, well, when I get home and when my grieving begins, when I get home, I remember asking, I wonder how grief is going to show up in my life. Like, I was so curious. And then I had this huge epiphany as if I had not been grieving for years before, like when she started to decline. Like I'm so
Right.
curious about, because then I was just like, oh, wow, like you have a lot of grief. And then I just even think in the realm of the pandemic, there's like global and community, like there's grief
Mhm.
just from that. And then losing a marriage and you have a young child and you, that's just so much. So I'm just curious just to what is your relationship like with grief? How did you finally get to that point? Because my visualization of you with all these different things is, do you know the comedian Jim Gaffigan?
I think so.
Okay. So he has 5 kids. And so when he went from 4 to 5 children, he told this joke like, oh my God, people are just like, oh, what's the difference? You go from 4 to 5. He's like, imagine you're drowning and you literally like are just fighting and you make it up to the top of the water and you're able to get and grasp for air. And then someone throws you a baby. And I just think about like all those things, like you didn't really have a
Right.
chance to like process and recover. So you're probably carrying years worth of grief within you. So I'm just, or were you? I don't know. Tell me about it.
So it's one of those things, like, I was putting my daughter in the car one of those first few times, buckling her in the car seat
Hmm.
after it was time for her to go back to her pop's house. And I may have been smiling on the outside, but on the inside, you're just crumbling.
Oh, right.
Right. And so I walked back to the stairwell and it was unbearable. Right. And I knew and I realized in that moment that I had two choices, that I could stay in that pit of despair or I could make decisions that would start moving me forward one step at a time.
Okay, so when you got that message, because I totally get that when you get that message, and I've interviewed over 70 people for Curveball, and one of the things that I think is so fascinating is there is an intentional like realization where it's like, I'm going to do something like this is happening in my life. I can't make sense of it, but you know what? It's happening for meaning and I'm going to make meaning from it. So, what did it feel like? What was the sensation of getting that message? Like, do you get divine downloads? Like, was it something that was like, oh, I have communion with universe and God and that kind of stuff. So I get these things all the time. Or like, what did it feel like or sound like in your brain when you got that message? Because you obviously took action immediately after that.
Yeah, I would say you would think that would have been more of like this moment, like I was saying earlier, that I can remember exactly what I was wearing, exactly how but I don't. I just remember something had to change because I couldn't continue to feel like that week after week.
Okay.
Because this was the new normal.
Yes. And you can start going down a muddy road and you start putting in tire grooves that get deeper and deeper, and then it's hard to turn off that road. So, so you get this really intense message, things have got to change. You have two choices. You can continue, and can be your life, or you can make a change. Oh my God. So, like, where do you even start? Like, I love it when God, like, gives you, like, good direction like that. And you're just like, well, dude, can you just like make me a to-do list with like 3 things on it? It's like, I'll let you figure that out. That's free will.
Yeah. Well, I had started before the separation a little bit. I had started with a coach because I was like, okay, I've been trying all these things. Nothing is working. Like I just felt stuck in life. And so I knew that at that point, like I was meant for more than just what was happening. And I'm not the only one who's been through a divorce, who's been through grief, who's been through these things. And now what that has done is I was like, okay, I need to start creating stuff for other people. And I'm still in that. I'm still working a corporate job full time, building a business. But I will tell you what, the difference started with me. I had to make that conscious decision that I was not going to, every time she left, just fall into that pit again and have to figure out how to get out.
So give me an example. Like, what was one of the first times like you dropped her off and you were like, wait a second, like you're driving away and you're like, hold on a second. I'm doing okay right now. Like, what do you remember what you did like that? Because you said it started with you. So I'm assuming it was more not like, oh, I created this amazing morning routine where I exercised and drank egg yolks and meditated. It's like, it sounds like you did more switches in your mind.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate? Yeah.
It was starting with being grateful. Because no matter how bad the situation around me was, I still had so many things to be grateful for. Our daughter was, for the most part, happy and healthy. Things like that. I had a roof over my head. I was able to still go to work. I there was different things that I was able to do that,
Right.
that's where that started.
Then did you start like a formal gratitude practice then?
I list at least 3 things every day.
Every day.
And in the beginning, it was all written out.
Okay.
And now it's just more like verbal.
Right.
And I even started doing that with my daughter. She's 8 now.
Yeah.
And just asking her, hey, what are you grateful for today? Because when you start, because we know you can get so caught up in life and the things going on around us and the
Yes.
yuck that we have to change our perspective.
Yes. And I
Because
know
if you
that,
don't,
like, I heard gratitude, like when you literally have a grateful thought, it activates this part of your brain where you actually grow more white matter in your brain, which is all your emotional and processing and
Mhm.
relation. And I'm like, it's just interesting to me when like gurus like from like 5,000 years ago are like, be grateful. Like the best thing you can do is have a gratitude practice. It sounds so simple. But then there are these other like super significant things happening physiologically in your body. Just so happens, it's like, it's just so fascinating. So then, so then you started with this gratitude practice. And then what did that open up for you? Like, where did that lead to?
then I am statements, and those are another super
Mm,
powerful thing. And those started simple as well, but they were
right.
not only things that I was at the moment, they were things that I wanted to embody.
Okay. Give me an example.
Then, if you want to take it a step further, you ask your children to participate in that. And that's
Okay.
a whole different. So I asked my daughter, I said, hey, this is what I do. What would you add to this? And her words were, I am bold and I am beautiful.
She's
Hmm?
8. My kids are
She
in their
said,
20s. They'd probably be like, you forgot about this work history. Like, I just don't even know if my kids in their 20s
oh,
would be enlightened.
she is a very
Old soul.
emotionally intelligent old soul and a
Yeah.
little person.
I have
Like,
one of those
she,
too. Yeah.
she carries a notebook around and writes all the time. And then she was just reading this story that to me this morning that she had written at school. And I was just like, my gosh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But you want to take it another level, have somebody else tell you what they think you should add. Because it just goes back to even like when you're reading the bio and stuff, and sometimes you
Right.
just forget, right? Because you're so entrenched in the moment. It's like,
Right.
oh, I am still making progress. I am still moving forward.
Right. It's so interesting. I had to slow down last year because of a health issue. And I had 2 friends who slowed down with me. And I was like, that's amazing because I have an extenuating circumstance that made it very easy for me to slow down. But they chose it. And what was so interesting is after about 3 weeks of the slowdown, they were both like getting super antsy because like their ego voice or their side, I call it the sideliner voice, the voice that keeps you on
Mhm.
the sidelines, was like, you're behind. You're
Yeah.
behind on things. And I was like, what are you behind on? Like, you guys are competent business owners. You're successful entrepreneurs. Like, are you missing, you're missing client deadlines? Like, what are you doing? And I just thought that that was so interesting that that was like the feeling. Cause I remember then once I was doing better, wanting to come back to my work low and slow. I didn't want to go back to the hustle and just have this like health thing be like this crazy thing that happened in the summer of 2024. And I remember like it was going great. It started off going great. And then in March, I started to get this, you're behind. You should be doing more. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, you sneaky. Like, I just thought
Oh,
that was very interesting because there are like these affirmations and these things. And then there's also this shadow voice too that sometimes like tries to pull you back in. And
mhm.
I just am really aware of it. And the thing is when I hear that voice, it's not even that clever. Like, it's not like, hey, it's like, oh, you're behind. You're dumb. Like it will literally say, it won't even say things that are clever to me. So sometimes I'll just write down like what it's saying to me. And I'm like, oh, seriously? Like, that's not even good. Like, if you really want to get me, this is what you should say. But it's just so interesting to me that you make these changes and the path. I guess what I was really surprised about is I had this experience. It gave me a ton of beating. I created like an entirely new practice in my life. I changed the way I run my business. And so I thought, I'm going to be rewarded with all these amazing things happening. And I always have like amazing things happen. Like, so I do, but like, I guess I thought that the path was going to be easier because I was doing like all the right things. And I just remember having these moments of just being like, I was also like working with a coach at the time, and I would just call her so frustrated. I'm like, I'm doing all these things, I'm moving in alignment, and I'm really like checking in with my body. I'm pulling a tarot spread every morning for intuition. Like, I'm doing all these things. Like, why are things not changing? Like, and it's because, well, I think I know why. I think it's because I was thinking, well, this is going to be evidence of things changing. So when I see evidence of these things, then I'll know I'm changed. And then it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You change. And then you realize like, oh, I'm just a different human being. Like, it's a lot more subtle. Was that your experience? Like, it wasn't like all of a sudden, like I don't know. I guess who shows up in situations is such a different person than the person I was even like a year and a half ago. And that's where the shift
Thousands.
happened. It's like, it's not like all of a sudden you're just like, holy crap, I have this figured out. And I have like 7 $100,000 clients. It's not like that at all. It's like literally, fundamentally, I am now a changed human. So now from this point forward, I don't know. Does that relate? I don't
Mhm.
even know
Oh,
if I'm making any sense.
yes, it's funny to me that you would say that you've gone through this because this last week I have been really struggling, and I'm just going to be honest here with, okay, do I am I because I am now currently focusing on the speaking aspect
Oh, okay.
my business.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I love coaching and helping people, but I feel like my heart is pulling me towards the speaking, right?
Yes. I love that. The nudge that does not stop nudging is what I call it.
But this week I was going back and forth and like my accountability friends and she was
Mm,
just like, what makes you feel good? I
yeah.
was like, the helping people, the giving them the information, because I will be transitioning out of corporate America in the near future. And
Congratulations.
thank you. It is nerve wracking and scary, all the things at the same
I
time,
get it.
right?
Yes.
But that pull that, and one of my friends the other day said, we, they do recognition at work and all this stuff. And I was just like, why do I feel so unappreciated and stuff? And he just told me,
Right.
he goes, you know why? Because your appreciation is not going to come from them because you are meant for so much more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's good advice. I would definitely keep that friend in your friend group.
And I was like, oh, that one's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Okay, good. Good. Yes, good.
And it was just like, because something similar had happened to him. And
Right.
now he's aligned with where he's supposed to be. So it's much more
Yes.
fulfilling. And so when those things happen, it's just like, oh, okay, you have to be reminded of that bigger picture because even grief, right? We have this moment in time.
Hmm.
And if you're in the midst of the heavy grief right now, you have to think, and it's hard when you're in it, right?
Yes.
This is just a tiny blip
Yes.
in the big picture of your life.
Right.
And how you handle that can help with how you move forward and
Right.
how you handle everything else in the future.
Yeah, like someone gave me something after my mom died that showed like a big red ball in a box. And it was like, this is grief. when it first happens. And then what you do is you start to build your life. You start to build your life like post that person being gone, and you move forward. And what happens is as your life gets fuller, the ball doesn't change, the box gets bigger. So then that grief aspect just is a smaller component of a life, I guess, a life well lived.
Yeah, it's for sure.
So I love the title of your book because I'm all about really understanding what gets in the way of people starting, because starting is so I love the title, Start Up, Start Over, Just Start. It reminds me of, I heard an interview with this very famous marathoner on public radio, and they were like, oh, what is your toughest mile when you're running a marathon? And I thought for sure he's going to say like mile 17 because you're far enough, you're in the middle.
Right.
No, he was like, the first mile, always 100% is the hardest because that's going to set the tone for the entire run. That first mile is going to set the tone for the other 25 miles. And I thought that to be so interesting. So talk to me about what you think, like, why is starting sometimes so hard for some people and other people are just like, oh, I'll just start. I'll try this, experiment with this, see how it goes. Didn't work. I'll start over again. Is there are people wired a certain way for starting? Or I guess what gets in the way of people starting?
Themselves.
Okay. Tell me more about that. Yeah.
So this book is a collaboration of female entrepreneurs.
Love it.
And everyone's story. And they're starting up or just starting or starting over, because entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
It is not. I can tell you that, because you really only have yourself to rely on.
Yeah.
And so it's like, totally. That's why I think it's not for the faint of heart, because you really realize it just brings everything to the surface. I think your attributes, your limiting beliefs, which are significant. I think women too, like, it's such tender work to, like, if someone, I can just tell, like, if I called and asked for your opinion, you were going to give it to me. I'm the same way. But all of a sudden, like, when no one's asking for your opinion and you're just putting stuff out there saying, hey, world, open for business over here. And here's what I think is not right. And so I created this to help with it. It's such tender work. And then women have to go up against a millennia of being told by society, don't brag, don't show off, don't ask for anything. And God forbid you ask for anything more than what we think you deserve, whoever we is. And so I really think it's like so much bigger. So when a woman steps out into her own business, I'm like, you go girl, because I just think that there's a lot more, because you're literally overcoming a societal, that's still part of the societal narrative. I think it's getting better, but especially for women, like, I'm much older than you, but like, especially oh no, I am. Thank you. Like saying thank you, like Zoom touch up my feature. But I think for women, like for ages 40 to 60 plus, like, it's still something that we're still like very much like, I don't know. I think it's like a dog whistle. Even though we can't hear it, it doesn't mean it's not making a sound.
Right. Well, the thing is, I think society has told us as women that we need to be in competition with each other.
Oh.
That we can come together and support each other no matter what we're doing.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, she's doing that. Well, you need to do. And that's how it comes across.
Right.
It doesn't come across as, oh, she's being successful, and we should all be rallying around each other to create more success, not more divisiveness.
I get that. Do you think, like, women, I can see that, like, I can see that sort of being wired for comparison. You know, in comparison, because I'm just like, oh my God, comparison. And then I read this quote by Marcus Aurelius, I think. And he said, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I'm like, oh,
yes. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Legit. Because people compare themselves, like, I just know being an online entrepreneur, like there are people who are super successful. They have multi 7-figure businesses, and people are just like, oh my God. And they're comparing themselves against that other person who is
Yeah.
light years ahead of them, been in the business. It's like when I work with my clients, they're just like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I think of this? Or like, you write about something and it just comes so naturally to you. And I said, well, because I've been doing this for like 30 years.
Right.
So I have like an advantage, just time and projects. And yeah.
Well, and it's funny that you say that. And this is what we're talking about too, is because in my speaking journey, I feel like in my head, I should be so much further along because the people that I'm surrounding myself with are at a different place,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
But what you don't know and what you don't always see is everything it took to get to that place.
Right.
And my accountability partner this week really just reminded me of Katie. We've known each other only like 5 months. I don't even think we're 6 months into our relationship.
Right.
And she's like, just think about how far you've come already.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes somebody reminding you of you need
Yes.
to continue to do that work, those little steps, that rehearsing, like that's what's in front of me on my computer right now is a story that I've been working on and working through. And it's the same thing with grief,
Right.
right? It's surrounding yourself. And that's part of why I created Butterfly Tribe Blueprint, because the butterfly is the transformation.
God, do you ever
Right.
think like God was literally just like, I really need a metaphor for life, like how it can be crazy and but then like you can really rise, like come out like something like, and then he's like, okay, I'll create this butterfly that literally dissolves, starts off as one thing, dissolves and becomes another thing.
I still
What?
see myself as that
What?
little fat, happy caterpillar, like
Yes.
before
Oh
all
my
this.
God. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You're just like the hungry caterpillar just putzing along. I was very happy in that and didn't know. And that's what grief can be, is that cocoon. But you have to choose if you're going to stay inside and actually make those
Right.
changes.
So outside of your gratitude practice, which you said was your starting point, what other like key steps or practices have made the biggest difference to you?
The people I surround myself with.
Okay, because you did. I'm glad you talked about this because you did talk about the tribe. So it sounds like you curated a tribe around you.
So I was in this group of women entrepreneurs and I had no idea because they were with me. I laugh because I never knew I had so many Canadian friends until this happened.
Yeah, funny.
But I was with this women entrepreneur group. None of them were divorced, but that didn't matter. They were with me
Right.
before the divorce, through the divorce. They're still with me now. Like,
Right.
they want to know all the juicy dating details and the what's going on with your mom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because they have been the most supportive, non-judgmental, like, we got you. What do you
Right.
need?
Yes. I love that.
And you have to, because let's just be honest, when you are going to a job every day, it's like your family, right?
Oh,
You don't get
yes.
to
Yeah.
pick. You don't get to pick who you surround yourself with. And that's
No,
the
and then
beauty of
everyone shows
entrepreneurship,
up
right?
with like their whole families with them, their family trauma, their ways of relating. Like the workplace is so unbelievably complicated. Like I would love it if like I had a boss, like if on the job interview he said, "Hey, I got to tell you something about me. My mom left when I was 2 and then she had nothing to do with me. So I have like this sort of subliminal hatred and resentment of strong women. And even though like I'm not going to tell you any of that, it's totally going to come up in the job. And especially when I drink at company events, like I'm going to say some really inappropriate things to you. Are you going to be cool with that? Like, I just wish people could be completely honest. I would say on my job interview, like, hey, you meet me and I know you like me because I am a wooer and I'm wooing you right now. And I'm really good at my job, but I'm going to struggle with the relationship sometimes. And like 80% of the time, I'm going to be pretty cool. And 20% of the time, you're going to be like, who is this person I'm working with? I don't even recognize her. And I'll be like, but I'm going to produce like such amazing work for you that you're going to feel so conflicted because you can't fire me. But at the same time, you're going to find it hard to work with me. That's what mine would have been like. And anyone who works with me corporately would be like, okay. And I just want to reassure you too, because I remember when I started my business in 2014, I was just like, what am I doing? Like literally, what am I doing? And I started flat, like fresh. And the thing is it's going to be okay. It's not, once you are out of that corporate environment, it's not nearly as scary. And you're going to be so grateful. Because I know what that nudge feels like because like, I was like, oh, I want to work with entrepreneurs. And my logical brain would be like, you don't need to do that. Like you have this agency, you can just have like a few agency clients and have a really comfortable life. Nudge, nudge, nudge. You got to help women. You got to help women. You got to help women. Like, and it just will not, that nudge never stopped. And so I listened to that nudge and now that's more of my business now. And it's the work I love doing to your point. So I just want to reassure you, I know it feels like a big leap and it is, but it ends up like, I know it feels like you're on one high rise building and you got to jump over like Matrix, the movie Matrix, to the other high rise building. Right. And the alley is like, they're like needles and fighting dogs and dirty diapers. And you're like, I do not want to fall down there. But then it ends up being much more like just stepping over a crack in the sidewalk after you do it. Yeah. It's incredible. So for someone who's feeling stuck, like either in the grief stage or they're just feeling stuck overall in life and they just don't know where to start and they can't imagine what it would be like to feel confident again. What is one gentle, actionable step they could do today to start moving forward?
I would say it goes back to the gratitude and being grateful, because if you are in that pit or just like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Right. Once you go back to that and you're like, okay, I do have things to be grateful for.
Yes.
And then I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room and been like, I don't know, especially more so in the beginning of meeting other people and just like, I don't know if this is where I should be. And it's like, no, this is where I should be.
Right. Yes. I know that feeling. I love this idea of the gratitude practice too, because it is so simple. And the thing is like, you can create a lot of complexity around that. When am I going to do it? How do I do it? When really, I have found like all the spiritual things that I did, like meditation, journaling are really my two like go-tos. Yeah. It's like those things in and of themselves are very easy, but it's like that like ego mind that's like, oh no, this is going to be like super complicated. But you're just like three things. You don't even write them down anymore. Do you just say them out loud or you just look around? I would feel like I need to come up with new things all the time.
It's evolved. Okay. Because it went from the writing. Sometimes I still put it in the notes in my phone, but just not feeling overwhelmed by those three things.
Right.
Like, oh, I have to do this.
It doesn't have to be deep. Like it can literally be like, I am grateful that I got a new pair of shoes and I didn't get blisters. Like it could be something as mundane as that.
Yeah. And I feel like you don't run out of things to be grateful for.
Right.
Because that changes. And when you start seeing things in a different light too, you're like, I never saw it that way before. But and even when things don't go your way,
Right.
I've seen it as, oh my gosh, I'm being protected from something,
Yes.
right? Like, ooh, why did that guy not call me back? What is wrong? Nope. There was a reason.
Right. Yes.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
Keep going. Little things like that. I didn't just stop and be like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? There was a time I would
Right.
have done that, but
Yes.
that's not now.
Gosh, I used to work with this person and she had this huge crush on this guy we worked with and he asked her on a date and they had the worst date. She's like, he was horrible. He was rude to the waitress. He left a terrible tip. And then she was like, I just had the worst date. And I'm like, oh my God, that is just so heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. And then he did not call her back or for a second date. And then she's like, I love this man. And I'm just like, it's so interesting. Like when you're like, no, I don't like, and then that other person doesn't do something. And then you're just like, wait. So I love that you're able to look at that and just say, this is not my person. Yeah. All I know is that I've been with my husband since I was 19. So I don't have a lot of experience with dating, but I do know that I think for successful relationships, it's not that hard in the beginning. Like if it's meant to be like that, you're going to have communication. And if it's not, then it's not intended to be that hard. Yeah.
And here's a fun story that kind of ties all of this grief together, right?
Yeah.
My mom and my dad were married when they were 17 and 19.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So they were married 40 plus years. About 5 months ago, so my dad has been gone 7 years now.
Okay.
About 5 months ago, my mom's like, I think I'm ready to start dating, to have somebody. She lives in this small community. I'm like, okay, that petrifies me. I live in a huge city, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I don't know who's out there for you, but good luck. That's not really, I did not say that to my mother. But she said on the phone one night, she was like, well, this guy asked if he could text me. And I finally said, okay, I am giving my mother dating advice.
I could not imagine. That must be so funny.
It was, right? So I was like, the beauty of this is you get to choose how it goes.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
If you don't like that he texts you so much, I think it's funny that they even text. My mom, she might kill me after this, but she is turning 70 next year. Her and this guy, I said, Mom, if it's too much, you just got to say it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You just have to say it. And fast forward to today, they are now engaged, getting married.
Oh my God, you're going to have a stepdad? Do you like him?
That's not really.
Yeah, I know.
As adult children, our joke is we are the new Brady Bunch.
Because that's hilarious. Right.
All the kids on both sides are all of the same age. We grew up together. We know each other. Her fiance is a widower as well.
Right.
And they knew each other's spouses. So I guess the moral of that story is love can come in the most unexpected way.
Right.
But when you work through that grief and know that there is more to life than just that grief, life does get to be beautiful again.
Yeah.
She is like a giddy little teenager. It is the funniest thing ever. I've never seen my mother like this.
Well, I have not kissed another person since 1988. And so I just think about your mom, like the first time she kissed him, she must have just been like, what? Like that just must have been like thrilling.
So it's just funny to me.
I am so happy. And I'm so happy. Like, it sounds like you and your mom have a good relationship too. We've had to work through that. Okay. There's been a lot there. That's a different podcast for a different day. Yes, but I just think you guys you seem to be able to be very honest with each other.
Yeah, for the most part.
No more speculation around Katie J's mom. Katie, this has been so wonderful. And I feel so inspired to have a gratitude practice because I do journal and I don't have gratitude as part of that. So I'm going to definitely add that into my practice. And the first thing I'm going to say I'm grateful for is I'm grateful that I interviewed Katie Jordan on my podcast, who finally got my ass into a gratitude practice. So thank you so much. If people want to connect with you or be coached by you or get this 90-day blueprint, how do they get in touch with you?
Facebook is just Katie Kuhn Jordan. And Instagram is Butterfly Tribe Blueprint.
I love that.
Those are probably the two easiest ways to get in touch with me.
Wonderful.
And you'll be seeing my face more on stages too.
That is great. I love your story. I love you have a very gentle energy, but you also have a young energy about you. Do people say that this and because I know you're a wise adult, but you also have this energy of a collegiate person, someone young who's in learning and just totally getting into everything that they're learning and experiencing. So you also have this young energy, you have this wise energy and also this young energy too, which I think is really quite cool.
That may be coming from someone almost 47 that has an 8-year-old.
Oh, okay. There you go.
No, but I've just also, I've taken so many lessons from her.
Right.
And when was the last time you allowed yourself to swing on the swing at the playground and feel that freedom?
Right.
And not care what anybody else thought. Just this morning, she climbs up in bed with me after she got up. And she's very tall too. So she's a lot of legs. I'm a whole whopping 5'2".
Oh, okay.
She just climbs in my lap, even though she's a tall girl. Yes. And she just laid there and we laughed and we talked about things. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be this hard thing.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, there were times when I was struggling trying to figure this out in the beginning of everything.
Right.
After the separation. And I was not. It's horrible when you're going through so much trauma and you're trying to make decisions of what's best for your child when you don't even know.
Right.
So she is quite the amazing little person.
Yeah.
She told me one day, she goes, "Mom, how come you never practice your speaking in front of me?" Okay.
Oh my God. Can I hire her as a coach?
Yes. So last night, she's sitting over next to me on the bed. I am in front of my desk and I am literally practicing out loud, but not very loud. And I'm reading and memorizing and just making sure I have some of my points all together. And she goes, "Mom, could you read that again out loud?" And I said, "Well, do you want to come sit on my lap as I read this?" Because she came up in this and she's like, "Huh, what is she saying over there?"
Interesting.
And then, because it was part of that story that we were talking about earlier in that pit of despair. And that darn little thing, after we got through it, she's like, "Oh, I'm in the pit of despair," over some stuffed animal or something. And I was like, you know what? You have the choice to stay there or get out. Right. And that's what I'm telling her. But I was like, is that what I'm going to hear? And it was like the best thing ever. But I'm like, but I have to be honest with her.
Right. Yeah.
Because she sees that. Sees that growth in Mom and knowing, hey, I can do these hard things.
Well, I remember reading something or hearing it on a podcast, but it's basically your daughter is looking at you. how does a woman show up in this world? So everything you say about the way you look, your body, your job, your career, like they're literally looking at, just like boys are looking at their dad saying, how does a man grow up in this world? Like they're really studying you for a long time. And that I just remember thinking, oh God, I hope I think I heard that when my kids were like a little bit older, and I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't screw them up too much. Like, but I get that when you have, I just think I can't wait for my kids to have grandkids because I just think about it'll be so much fun to be able to see like a child develop where you're one step removed, meaning you're not in the throes of I can really be an observer of like human
Mm-hmm.
development. And I'm just very excited because kids do. I had to think about like when my kids were little, right? Like really little, you would come home and you'd be like, oh my gosh, how are you? You would pick them up and hug them. And then like as they get older, it's like, hey, how are you? When you might, but so at some point that ends. And I remember just thinking, I'm never going to let that end. So when my kids come home, I'm always just like, hello, like, how are you? Just like they're little kids. But it is funny how we grow out of that too, sometimes with our own children. And the kids are like, they're so wise. I just think if you have a bunch of kids and they don't know what to do, you just throw a ball into the middle of them and they will figure out how to start playing a game. And it is the coolest thing to watch because I don't think adults are like that. Like the kids are literally like, okay, what are we going to do? Oh, we have this ball. Well, what could we do with this ball? And then you just see like all the ideation happening, all the possibility right there before it gets sucked out of them in high school. It's like, it is so interesting. Thank you so much for saying yes to Curveball. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh,
It's
of
been
course.
great.